Hey everybody, so Chapter 11, Public Relations. Certainly an area where you might want to have your career path while you're here at FIT. A growing part of the IMC mix, Integrated Marketing Communications, Public Relations. So public relations is this idea of how a brand communicates with its publics. And its publics could be lots of different dimensions of people. Public relations has always had kind of a bad connotation, the idea of it being, fake news or, spinning data so that it, fits the company's needs, creating fake grassroots organizations. Fake research, saying that, Coca-Cola is good for you or something like that. So there's all kinds of things to work on your media literacy to realize, what is real and what is kind of proposed or what is fake as far as, what is being communicated as public relations. A little bit of history here. So a tablet found in Iraq, 1800 BC, was a public relations tool showing farmers how to get the most out of their crops and planting. In colonial America, public relations abound. The idea of don't tread on me and the free or die, and staged events like the Boston Tea Party. That was a public relations statement. Propaganda in public relations. So early magazines and newspapers certainly communicated things in public relations in, the term snake oil, where lots of, different medical kind of things and, take this to grow hair or be younger. And of course, that's still around today, right? So you have to really be careful, buyer beware. Westinghouse was the first corporation to actually establish its own public relations department and take it on its role inside the department. A lot of places today have that, but they also hire out agencies that specialize in public relations. Could be an ad agency or a dedicated PR industry. Edward Bernays, he is considered the father of public relations. In World War I, there was a lot of public relations, could be considered propaganda too, about, supporting the war effort, buying bonds, subscribing, joining to fight for the war, rationing, all kinds of things like that were put out by the government to increase the war effort and make sure that people were behind us in the war. And of course, just look at the war that's going on today in Ukraine and think about how much of it is influenced by the media and public relations and what you're seeing and how different that relation is, say, in Russia, the different kind of mouthpiece there that they're getting. Franklin Delano Roosevelt used public relations really well. He had the radio fireside chats that were very engaging, where he spoke to the population, and a lot of projects. During the Depression era, there was a lot of infrastructure building, so building roads and bridges, and he put people to work, and it was really a positive thing. After the war, two-way communication really came into play, and the idea that the PR people were doing research, listening to their publics and what their publics' feedback was, and how they were going to reposition and understand what the public perceived and what the public wanted. Also with advances in technology, things like the phone and, of course, the personal computer allowed for PR professionals to do much better research and get that two-way communication much clearer. So who are those publics? Again, you could think about, say, FIT, right? So you have, your Publix at FIT. I'm one of the employees, right? So, how does FIT engage with me, as far as email, newsletters, events that go on to support me for my health care and things like that. Stockholders, so these are the people who back FIT. Another family of, Publics that are really important, supporters, donators. Communities, the Chelsea neighborhood around here. How do they feel about, FIT and, supporting it and making sure that FIT is nurturing the community around it. Media, how does FIT, look in the media? How are they, communicated? And FIT could send out a press release that puts them in a certain light. Government relations, obviously, we are part of New York City, we're part of New York State, we're part of the United States, and we're part of different communities. So we're supported by the city, the state, the government, investment community, again, the idea of the board and people who are, investors in FIT. And then finally, you guys, you are our customers. So how you're treated and how you're communicated with and the experience that you have when you are here at FIT or trying to register for a class or whatever it is, right up from, application to graduation. So a really great industry, certainly a growing industry, lots of different ways that PR can be delivered. We spoke a little bit about the idea of a dedicated firm or an advertising firm that actually uses it, or an in-house PR. These are some of the largest agencies. Edelman here in New York City is a very powerful PR agency. But you also have lots of different areas, and this is the idea of it's a growing area where there are lots of opportunities for people like you. Other things that PR people do, things like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, right? So this is a grassroots kind of PR organization. Sandy Hook, ALS, remember the Ice Bucket Challenge. So these are all PR kind of campaigns to get people aware. That Ice Bucket Challenge, right? Kind of a crazy thing, but it was this idea that, that's the way you felt when you had ALS, that you, lost your sense of kind of, feeling. It was like having, a ice bucket thrown over your head. So certainly cause marketing, principles of corporate governance. Lots of these things rely on public relations. And lobbyists, people who go to Washington and lobby, pro petroleum, anti-petroleum, solar, whatever, there's all kinds of PR push and pull going on. So what might you be doing if you're working in PR, right? You might be doing media relations or public affairs or research. Certainly lots of areas where you could be working and specializing in those areas, maybe doing focus groups, all kinds of things that can be going on. So here's an example of a focus group, and obviously this data is part of the research that then goes into what the company is going to put out next. So talk about Coca-Cola, right? They don't have the greatest reputation for being a health food, but you can look at some of the Coca-Cola vending machines, and it talks about how Coca-Cola could be healthy and part of a balanced lifestyle, and don't overdo it, right? Don't same thing with buying a bottle of alcohol. The idea that drink it responsibly, right? This is part of public relations. Greenwashing, ethnic and black PR, pink slime journalism. So the idea of again. These might be ones that are, again, just kind of pull the wool over your eyes, or try to get people, just to be happy enough, like, okay, we're doing just enough to satisfy it, greenwashing. So we have this terrible polluter who, does something that makes them look like they're environmentalists, right? But they may not really be. And again, you got to use your media literacy skills here to understand, the transparency of the efforts. Again, here's a revenue of some of the largest PR groups. Again, the reason why this slide is there is the idea of, it's certainly a growing industry and a growing part of the integrated marketing communications mix. A video news release might be something, right? The idea of convergence. So public relations, in newspapers, in magazines, on television, on the internet, in email. So it's all over, and the idea that, it continues to permeate and grow throughout everything we do in our day-to-day lives. Viral marketing, the idea of trying to put something out in social media that then people will forward to their, subscribers and their subscribers and their subscribers, and then it goes viral. So this is a chart also showing the other parts of the integrated marketing communications mix, all the other areas, and the idea that everything kind of comes together in a really great kind of brand, that does all of these things properly. We're all, in a PR thing all the time, right? So just think about, doing a Yelp review for a restaurant. You are putting your 2 cents in, and, you didn't like the food, you liked the food, you didn't like it, the service, whatever. So, and people are looking at that review, and it's influencing, and, sometimes maybe you might think, well, gee, I think maybe, the owner posted this review, right? Or the chef posted this review. So the idea of, how accurate it is, and is it real or is it fake, right? So Edward Bernays, up until his death in 1995, was a proponent saying, like, we really need to make sure that we are doing things ethically and honestly in public relations. Just like a doctor or a politician would be held to high standards, a PR professional would also be held to those standards. So there are 6 PR people for 1 journalist today. And I'm going to close this one again, just giving you the idea of the media literacy, and I think that's going to be part of our discussion this week, is kind of analyzing whether, how you can look at something and decide for yourself whether it is a mouthpiece of the corporation, whether it is a true review, that kind of thing. So when you buy something on Amazon, you look at those reviews. What are the clues to tell you that this is a real review or a fake review? And actually, I'm going to leave you with something even more important here, public relations at FIT. So Principles of PR and PR Workshop are 2 of our great classes, and our great Professor Roberta Ellens, our PR guru. So if you are really interested in PR, make an appointment with Professor Ellens and come and see her and let her know what your interests are. She is also the advisor for the Public Relations Student Society of America chapter here at FIT, which is another great way to network and get involved with PR. They have all kinds of events. They travel. They do real PR campaigns for real companies. And this experience is obviously golden to get you an entry-level position, an internship, and whatever. So I think that you really want to make sure, if you are looking to, continue a career in public relations, that you put yourself on the radar screen of Professor Roberta Ellens, and certainly try to take a class with her. So enjoy this week's reading and look for our discussion topic. I'll see you guys soon.